Trey Sermon and whether or not he could be the offensive rookie of the year. I was looking at the offensive rookie of the year odds, and I think he's a value pick. Now, before I tell you why, I'll tell you this. Trevor Lawrence is the favorite at 2-1. Trey Lance is actually 5-1, second best odds. Justin Fields is 5.5-1. Mac Jones is 8-1. Anybody else you want to know about?
Najee Harris.
Not on this list. But Trey Sermon, if you come up with another name as we talk, I'll give it to you. Trey Sermon is 40-1 to be the offensive rookie of the year. And, you know, when you look back at the history of offensive rookies of the year, it is a pretty distinguished list. Like, it's a pretty good indicator of who's about to be great in the NFL. Herbert won it last year, Kyler the year before, Saquon, Alvin Kamara, Dak Prescott, Todd Gurley, Odell, Eddie Lacy, RG3, Cam Newton, Bradford, Percy Harvin, Matt Ryan, Adrian Peterson, Vince Young, Cadillac Williams, Roethlisberger, Anquan Bolden. So we're getting superstars. But there were two guys that stood out to me when I looked at the list of offensive rookies of the year. The guy that won it the year before Anquan in 2003, and the guy that won it in the year 2000. The year 2000, a Broncos running back by the name of Mike Anderson, and in 2002, a Broncos running back by the name of Clinton Portis. And I'm not saying Trey Sermon is going to be the guy, should be the guy, but when I look back and I see two running backs for Mike Shanahan winning Offensive Rookie of the Year 3 years apart, I think, why can't Trey Sermon have that kind of production? Now, it takes a high level of production, but to me it is an indicator that there might be some value in him as the 49ers running back. We know they got a lot of running backs. We know that sometimes the running backs get hurt. We know that sometimes guys who are not expecting to be great in that system are great, right? It's happened in Washington. It's happened for them. But here is Trey Sermon, who, yeah, he was a third-round pick. Third-round picks usually are not offensive rookie of the year. But what round would he have been a second-round pick in 2002? Back when we drafted running backs a little bit higher, that's what Clinton Portis was. Mike Anderson was a sixth-round pick who turned into the offensive rookie of the year. Now, what's it going to take? I'll tell you what those two guys did: 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns rushing. So it takes a lot. It takes a lot. But if one thing leads to another, why couldn't Trey Sermon find himself as the feature back in this Niners offense this year? And if he does, then to me, he's got a real shot of being the offensive rookie of the year.
You know what's funny is I was about to be like, well, guy, it was post Elway. I bet it was just a run-heavy team. I type in 2000 Denver Broncos. Obviously, he had, like you said, 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns. It's like I bet they didn't pass that well. They had multiple 100-yard or 100-catch receivers in Rod Smith and McCaffrey, who accounted for 17 total touchdowns. So they were just a prolific offense. Because my take was going to be like, well, Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, like they're going to be pretty pass-heavy. Well, actually, when you have a really balanced offense, it enables you to slice them and dice them more. I think 2 years ago with Jimmy, when it was kind of a group by committee, but it was like they were gashing people, but especially the second half of the year. But Jimmy was still throwing well. It just enables you to be a balanced offense. So, yeah, I mean, this offense is conducive. My thing would be that year, he got almost 300 carries. I'm just using Mike Anderson. I don't know. Clinton Portis was obviously, when you draft a second-round running back and he was coming from the U in their peak teams, like it was probably even more powerful than Trey Sermon, because Trey Sermon had to transfer, texted with their guys at Oklahoma. It was just like, he didn't feel, and I saw him talk about this at the Niners press conference, why he transferred ultimately, like he wasn't just the featured back. Now, it shows you how good he was. He transferred to Ohio State.
Right.
So, like, he's viewed as a blue chip guy. And then it took him a while, because I watched his press conference. I just typed in, I actually think he'd be a good podcast guest. If we go to minicamp, it's just in the back of my head, just because I think he's kind of got some unique stories. Like it's the power of the places he went. He was kind of banged up, and it took him a while to get like his feet under him at Ohio State. But obviously, the last 3 games of the season he set a Big Ten all-time record. But even then, the next game in the playoffs, he ran for almost 200 yards. Like he is a blue chip guy. Is he going to get? So Mike Anderson 297. If I told you he got 180 carries, doesn't that feel like a lot?
It would feel like a lot, but I mean,
they did draft another running back, Elijah Mitchell, and they have Mozart, who is proven when he's on the field, he is a dynamic NFL player.
But also can get hurt.
Yeah, but my point is, even if he just gives you 17 games, if he just gives you 8 games when he's fully healthy, like he's getting touches.
Yeah,
right?
it's again, to me, it's why it's not a prediction. I think it's just a value. But you're right. I mean,
I don't like to take
Kamara.
My other pushback would be when you just talk about draft picks. For the most part, like if you take a first or second wide receiver, you're just kind of going to go down swinging with that guy. His rookie year, right?
Yeah.
After a couple years, you'd be like JJ Arcega-Whiteside just doesn't get to play. But that first year with a running back, even a third round guy, if the 6th round guy, they did draft a guy in the 6th round whose stats were really good and
we watched
his measurables are really
his tape
good.
is good too. He looks sweet.
I mean, it's not inconceivable that like that guy just is the star running back.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Now, Mike Anderson, John, when he won it, you know how old Mike Anderson was as a rookie in 2000? 27 years old. Mike Anderson had been a Marine for 4 years before he went to the University of Utah and played at Utah.
That's pretty badass. I remember that kind of vaguely, but when you say it, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds familiar. That's
a badass
that's pretty
resume.
badass story. What have you done? Yeah, I'm a Marine. I ran for 1,500 yards as a rookie.
Decided to go to college than the NFL.
I don't think that gets enough play to this day.
No,
right?
John, one of my favorite phrases that everyone uses. We don't talk about it enough. There's a lot going on in my life. I don't have time to talk about Mike Anderson every day. But Saquon, his rookie year was 260 carries and 90 catches.
He was the number 2 pick in the draft.
Well, I'm just saying that's incredible production, right? 90
you're
catches.
Just saying what you have to produce to win the award.
Yeah, like again, Mike Anderson was 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns, 23 catches. Clinton was 15 rushing touchdowns plus another 2 receiving touchdowns and 33 catches. You know, if you told me right now Trey Sermon's got 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns, you'd be like, Offensive Rookie of the Year or MVP candidate. That'd be incredible. So it's not likely, but I also think, like, okay, let's talk about the other aspect. Who do you like? Do you like Jamar Chase? Do you like Kyle Pitts? Do you like one of the Alabama receivers? Like, do you like Waddle or is Devontae Smith going to put up numbers playing with Jalen Hurts? Is Waddle going to put up numbers playing with Tua?
To me, Najee Harris could be a guy that they're going to try to keep Ben fresh, give him the ball a lot, he can catch. You'd say Travis Etienne, team's going to suck, and they're moved to a wide receiver, so I'd probably say no there. The Broncos, if they were to get Rodgers, which it's just Twitter, but I just see a lot of like Broncos to Rodgers Twitter. If he were to get traded,
yeah,
which I guess he's going on Kenny Mayne's last Sports Center or something. He's in Hawaii. I somehow stumbled upon this deep dive of his private jet that flew out, and he hasn't left Hawaii in 2 weeks. They drafted the UNC running back, who people loved, that I could just see having a big year. You could argue if Rodgers doesn't come and they just play with Teddy and Locke, they could just run the shit out of the ball. People love that guy.
Yeah.
But, 17 games. To me, a wide receiver, most rookie wide receivers, Justin Jefferson was probably by far the most productive guy last year. Most of the higher drafted guys are going with questionable quarterbacks.
How about
right?
Rashad Bateman?
Would you trust Tua? Would you trust Jalen Hurts? Bateman, even do you trust
Ravens.
Lamar to be like, that's a lot. Waddle, who was my point is Justin Jefferson did
Devontae
go to
Smith,
Kirk
no.
Cousins, who just went to a good place. Remember 2 years ago, DK Metcalf just got to go to Russell Wilson. Like, you are pretty dependent on having an upper tier quarterback.
I think it's why Trey Lance is 5-1, even though we don't even know if he's the quarterback.
Would you feel good about betting on any of the 5 quarterbacks?
I'd feel best about Trey Lance. Just given
what
that
about Trevor just be able to throw up some stats?
No. I mean, I think he's going to be a good player, but am I the Jags?
Yeah, but Cam, that year that he won it, the next year they drafted Luke Kuechly. Like, they drafted in the top 10. So you don't need to win. Now, to me, Cam was just an eye test. You're like, holy shit.
To your point, Burrow was an eye test.
You can be an eye test.
Burrow was. The Bengals were bad. Burrow, you watched him, you went, that might be the rookie of the year this year, right? Even though it was clear the Bengals weren't going to be good. So maybe that is an argument.
I think
for Trevor
Kyler was
Lawrence.
a little eye testy.
He was definitely eye testy.
They did not win, but it was like, okay, this guy was worthy of a top pick, just the physical talent. Yeah. I think you can be eye testy as a quarterback. You can't be eye testy as a running back. You're right. He would need 1,100 yards. It's not, listen, to me, them drafting in the 3rd round, like, they clearly like him, right? I mean, I think that looking at Mike Shanahan with Clinton Portis, like he drafted a guy in the second round. That guy's playing a lot. But Alfred Morris, remember the year that RG3 won it? He was a 6th-round pick, and he ran for like 1,500 yards. One thing's clear, the 2 running back picks, I think they want like 2,500 yards of rushing, right? Just this season. I guess that even that number, like with 17th game, like they want to run the shit out of the football.
To your point.
I think that's part of the thing like Josh Jacobs with the Raiders. Remember, it was clear, like, okay, he's really good from the jump. And the difference of the Shanahan probably, and I think Gruden has learned this because he just got Kenyon Drake, and last year they tried to get the dude from Utah, who I like, but he just, you probably ideally want a little bit better of a backup. You want to have multiple guys to keep even your horse fresh. Nick Chubb and what's his name, Kareem Hunt, and they're probably the best duo in the league.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, running backs you could argue maybe used a little, like in 2019, Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert, Matt Breida. 137 attempts for Coleman, 137 attempts for Mostert, 123 attempts for Breida. Mostert led the team with 770 rushing yards.
Now Mostert,
back when we called him Mozart. Last year,
he became.
Yeah, I mean it's hard because no one's playing 16 games for this group, right?
And to me, touchdowns alone don't get it because you could get 9 touchdowns and 7 of them could come at the goal line, right? Because just. When I saw the video of Trey Lance and Trey Sermon walking out to practice, I was like, oh, no wonder Ohio State and Oklahoma like this. He's fucking big.
Yeah.
He is not some little remember seeing Matt Breida? Matt Breida was tiny.
Breida.
He could fly. Breida. He could
People
fly.
Start yelling at us, you get it wrong. Yeah. No, I mean, if Trey Lance is your quarterback, it also just gives you some other – imagine him – imagine a healthy Niners offense on the goal line. You got a lot of options of how to get the ball into the end zone, right?
Yeah.
And arounds.
Chubby Jimmy's going to have something to say about Trey getting in the game.